You know what time it is. It's time for us to get serious here. You see the sign back there? It says R.I.P. NXT. Well, that's what happened last night. That's what happened. The only brand WWE had that was worth anything was turned into, and Nick Anthony says I'm wrong, Raw Light. He said it's worse. It's worse. And you know what? Thinking about it, I got to agree because they made some positive moves on Monday night. They opened the show with, well, you know, they love to open with talk, 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 yammer, 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 talk, talk, talk. But it made sense. It set up the main event. It set up what was going to happen later on that night, which was Bobby Lashley facing off against one Randy Orton for the WWE World's Heavyweight Championship. And prior to that, Big E Langston tweets out, hey, I'm going to cash in tonight. So they set that up. We all know how it was going to end. That was beautiful. And then Tuesday night. Now, I've always wondered what idiot. Well, let me bring my guest in here. Steve Kongo Kong Wilson is joining me here tonight. Let's bring in Kong here. How you doing tonight, sir?
Not too bad. Yourself?
All right, I'm doing good. Look, I'm some video right now. I'm on a tirade. Let me put my name up there. Yeah, you got to do all this fancy work when you're working with this studio software. Anyway, folks, Tuesday night, I think Kevin Dunn's the one that's been butchering everything here for WWE. Let me explain what happens. At the top of the show, we get it set up. LA Knight versus the new guy, formerly Rex Steiner, the son of Rick Steiner. You know, the dog-faced gremlin Rick Steiner, that guy, part of the Steiner Brothers tag team, one of the most decorated tag teams in the 80s, highly sought after by most promotions during the 1980s. His baby brother Scott, you know, the nephew of Big Papa Pump, comes out. He gets a match with the LA Knight, Eli Drake, baby. Okay. And what happens? He ends up beating Eli Drake. Show goes on. Things progress. Not very well, by the way. And what happens? They have this four-way match for the vacated NXT championship because for some reason, Samoa Joe is now injured and cannot perform the duties of the champion. Now, if this was anybody else in the WWE, they could go away for 6 months and still be champion. It's happened in the past. It'll happen again. But here's the thing. You have this match with Tommaso Ciampa, LA Knight. This is how important the other players were. We knew they were. Oh, was it Pete Dunne? Pete Dunne was in this match, I believe. Yeah, Pete Dunne. And then some new guy. Now, logic would say if Rex Steiner, they're not calling him Steiner. He's something else, but I don't know the name, and I don't care to know the name. He's Rick Steiner's son, so he should be able to use the Steiner family name because that is 2.0. Okay? So this boy beats LA Knight, and they bring out some total jabroni that ain't nobody knows about to fill a spot because Kyle O'Reilly can't be in the match for some reason. Okay? Now, would it not make more logical sense that the boy who beat LA Knight in the opening match of the show deserves to get in that spot? It would have been tension. It might have been, we could have seen it builds to a program with LA Knight and Rex Steiner. But no, that's not what happens. It's not even a logical assumption of what could happen. They bring in somebody nobody knows about. Nobody. What the hell is going on in WWE? Vince, I'm speaking directly to you, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. What are you doing? The only they may have lost the Wednesday Night War, but it's the only damn brand you have fans vested in. You're killing it. I hope when Triple H is recovered, him and Shawn come back and do what I suggested last week. Sunday night, rebirth of the WCW. You want to fight fire with fire, then do it. Quit playing games. This is not Saturday morning TV anymore, Mr. McMahon. This is prime time. You are losing fans because you are presenting a horrible product. Your storylines make no sense. People are sick of hearing what Hollywood soap opera screenwriters want us to hear. We want to know what the guys in the back, what are they doing to build the feud, to make the program work for us? Do you even give a damn about the fans anymore? Or is it all about the sponsors and the networks and the investors? Bottom line, you quit caring about the fans. And this is why promotions like AEW are whooping your ass in the ratings, in the important ratings. They have the demo god. Don't forget about that. And they just signed power players with a few more to come, no doubt. You better be scared. You better listen to Mick Foley. You better be scared. You better do something, because believe it or not, you are not the only game in town anymore. And the boys that work for us, that go out there and put their asses on the line for us every damn night of the week, all around the globe, in every little promotion there might be, have taken note. And they know that WWE doesn't have any wrestling in it. It's all entertainment. They want to wrestle. They want to be professional wrestlers. This is why they go to AEW. This is why they're going to Impact. This is why guys are going to promotions like ROH, NWA. Get it through your head, Vince. You don't know professional wrestling. You haven't known it for the last 20 years because you had such a monopoly, you could shove whatever you wanted down people's throat, and we had to accept it if we wanted it. We don't anymore because we have fabulous, awesome independent wrestlers like Steve Kongo Kong Wilson to get out there and to work at those little promotions around the country to show people what real professional wrestling is about. How are you doing tonight, Steve?
Man, I'm good. I'm getting a little fired up. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm ready to fight somebody now, all because of you.
Well, that's still, look, things changed around here. Once NBC left the picture, I got to be me. Okay. Folks, I've been watching professional wrestling since 1975. I've been doing this for almost 15 years now, in one way, one shape, one form or another. So I think that qualifies me to be what I say I am, a sports analyst, a journalist. Remember, I'm not going to present rumor to you. I'm not going to do anything of the sort. I'm going to give you my thoughts and my opinions. I may be biased sometimes, but that happens. But I like professional wrestling. And I like to talk to professional wrestlers, not sports entertainers. If you're afraid to say, I am a professional wrestler, then I got no time for you, because I don't talk to actors. Because Hollywood is stupid. They're a bunch of self-absorbed, egocentric, pompous, arrogant, think they can control what we say and do assholes. I'm just saying. Anyhow, Steve, it's been a long, hot summer here in Ohio, and I know you've been around working the scene. We haven't seen you on TV much lately, but hey, things like that happen. What have you been up to?
Man, just grinding. Still wrestling full time, still making gear, and still training.
I saw you were working with that noodle of Nelson. Yeah. Noodle Man.
Yeah, it's my little special baby.
Special is right. You need to feed him once in a while. The child services may be coming in on you on that one.
I try.
You know,
He eats like 7 chicken. What do you call those? They call them boneless wings, but I know them as chicken nuggets. So
chicken
he's
chunks.
like 7 of them, and he's full.
I think, is that an illness? Does he have anorexia? Have you had him checked?
He needs
But
to be.
we're talking about a nerd, by the way. Nelson Edward Robert
Robert.
Edwin
Yeah,
Doolittle. The fourth, the third, fourth,
the
the
fifth.
fourth, the fourth,
Fifth.
the fifth.
Yeah.
Oh, like he's as special as Beethoven Symphony.
I
Wow.
mean, yeah, he would let you know if you didn't get it right. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get it. Got a lot of things in my brain here lately. Now, man, this show's a lot different than before. This is free form. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk. And I've been wanting to pick your mind. Are you a fan of Godzilla films?
not really. I'm more so a King Kong fan
Well, did
than
you see
Godzilla.
Godzilla versus Kong?
No, I didn't. I haven't
Oh,
watched the movie in God knows how long.
he's your namesake.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah. You got to catch it, man. It's on what is that? It's on Godzilla versus Kong. Is that on I think it's on HBO Max. If you have the HBO Max service there, I get that for some reason. I get it free with cell phone service. So, hey, I'll take it. I don't care.
Yeah,
No,
next time I go over to Nerd's house, I'll probably watch it with him.
yeah, it's a hell of a movie, man. I could pick your brain sometime about that film. That was one of my things I was going to talk to you about. The other thing I want to talk to you about is I mentioned it earlier. There's a game in town that nobody expected to do. What was it? A flash in the pan is what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to be on TV for 2 years without a hit. They've already, think about that. They've already fulfilled the first contract they signed with TNT, and now they're working on the extension.
Right.
And I don't think it's a product that's going on. You know what I'm talking about? AEW,
Yeah.
where they actually wrestle. Yeah, they do. They wrestle there. There's entertainment there, but
Well, I'd say there's definitely less entertainment, but what they do as far as wrestling, I happen to see as just a lot of acrobatics, more so than two guys going out there and fighting. That's just my personal opinion, though.
well, to some extent, it is depending on what type of a match they're putting on. I mean, when you look at what Jericho and MJF did it All Out. One hell of that was a wrestling match. That's what wrestling is. There was a story being told in the ring, as well as the story that had been built for what's this been built like a year now. They've been building to this one match. So,
Right.
then you look at what happened with Omega and Christian, the story that was told there. A great story. I feel, and that was a wrestling match. There wasn't a ton of high spots in that. So I do see what you're saying about, that you have the matches with like the Young Bucks and the tag team division. And that's where I see the high flying stuff coming in mostly. Whereas you got guys like Darby Allin, but Darby Allin went in there with CM Punk and they put on one hell of a wrestling match. And yeah, there were some high flying spots, but hell, that's Darby's forte. And in his case, it's not so much of a high flying thing as more of he's just a daredevil. He likes to take those risks, and he's not afraid to fail.
He's a crash and burn kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And you put him in there. The first guy out the gate that CM Punk wanted was him. Right. Speaking of that, do the signings that AEW's had with Punk and Brian, Ruby Soho, Ruby Riott, and of course Adam Cole, baby. Do you think those are, for me, I think those are shots fired. This is going to be a lot more than what I think WWE actually expected out of this company.
I shit. How do I say this without coming off wrong? My concern is that it's going to turn into a WCW two or TNA, early 2000s, where they're bringing in all the ex WWE talent,
Mhm.
and then they're sitting on gold mine of unknowns that they could be building in the time. Excuse me. In the meantime, that they're not, and I just hope that some of these young guys don't get lost in the shuffle, because I even see some of the ex WWE guys getting lost in the shuffle, because every time they get somebody new, that's less spot that somebody else had on TV.
I think it's all in how they're going to use these guys.
Yeah.
If CM Punk's only going to work 4 or 5 times a year, then the matches are going to be special. They're going to mean something. Daniel Bryan, the same thing. I know right now they're setting him up to take on Kenny Omega, but for me, I don't want to see him win their belt. I want to see Omega cheat, whatever he's got to do to keep the belt, and you build toward All Out when you give the fans that moment of Daniel Bryan finally capturing the championship.
Right.
What they call hot shotting is what everybody's been. We bitch about WWE for hot shot and everything.
Right.
I think that's one of AEW's things, though, is that they're not hot shotting. They're taking the time to develop these stories over a year. Look at when Moxley finally got beat by Omega.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a clean victory. He cheated to win.
Right.
So that set that up. And then we look at signing Brian is a huge, to me, it's important. And what he said during and after the match, or the appearance was very important, because he said that he came there for the young talent and for the fans. And because he's not a sports entertainer, he's a professional wrestler. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what you get to be there. And I think the other thing is with AEW, creative input. I mean, if you were in WWE, you would be told exactly who you are and what you have to do. You don't get to
Right.
develop your own character. You don't get to be the persona that you have worked so hard on. Good example, guy Kevin Cross,
Mm-hmm.
guy pretty well. Um,
Right.
Kevin is not allowed to be who we know he is. And
Right.
that sucks. And then you have him in some stupid gladiator outfit that people. Why? It is the performer that knows the character, not the guy in the back. All the coaches do is kind of try to guide them through the matches. It's not their job to say, this is what your character is.
Right.
Do you think anyone would tell Undertaker who the Undertaker is, or HBK who HBK is, or Triple H who Triple H is? Hell no.
No.
Nobody's telling Randy Orton who the Viper is.
Right.
There's nobody. And I'm gonna go so far to say is there's other guys like New Day. Nobody's telling these guys who they are. They're being who they are.
Right.
And you can tell when the persona does not fit the person. And for me, what they've done with Kevin is just off the wall stupid. This is this guy is this is like the second coming of a Cena with his abilities. If you let him develop his characters, you could have the biggest heel in decades in your company if
Right.
you let him go. But so far it seems that they're not interested in anything else than, they want a beefy muscle head to go out there and do what they tell him. Well, these guys are intelligent men. Pro wrestlers are not stupid people. Don't treat them like that. They're tough, resilient athletes that will put their bodies on the line for every fan out there every night of the week if they could.
Yep.
And it's a rare. They are strange people, but they're a rare breed. But you cannot deny the fact that they are intelligent human beings. And I've met a lot of pro wrestlers. Some of y'all are pretty out there sometimes, but
No doubt.
especially your buddy Nelson. Man, he's a little out there, a little out there. I'm just saying. Hi, Nelson. How you doing? You need to eat, boy. because Augusta wind comes. If you got caught in like the storms that were going through Louisiana, you would be somewhere in Mississippi or up in New York somewhere, just flying around through the air with them tornado winds. I swear to God.
No, I tell you where he'd be clinging to me.
That's about the only thing going to save him. You're like that brick wall back there defending him. Although he could not. I saw you and him working together on the internet here, a match I saw. And yeah, he's not too intelligent sometimes. Nelson,
No.
you weigh what, a buck? Maybe a $1.05. A buck, yeah. This you got a man 3 times your size in there, dude. I'm waiting to see him try to power slam you. That's going to be. He's going to break his back doing that, and I know he's going to try. Because it's just within him to be that arrogant, I believe. Anyhow, right. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on, Steve, since the last time we talked. Most people won't admit it, but the NWA, and let me do something here, folks, because this just seems odd to me. There we go. Much better. Now I'm looking at the right side of the screen, and it looks like, yeah, I got to get everything right. I'm an idiot, but that's okay. Hey, Nick tells me that every time I talk to him. Anyway, there's a promotion out there. There's a title that has been around for, well, 73 years as far as we know now. A championship. And for a lot of people, me, that's the world's championship. There is no other title that is the world's championship. It may not be defended like on TV and everything like everyone thinks these titles should be, but it's one of the most revered and respected championships on the planet. And I'm talking about, go ahead and tell us, because you know the belt and you know you would love to hold it too if you could.
The NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
The belt. That is the original belt.
Right.
Okay. That is why Ric Flair made an appearance at NWA 73. Because without Ric Flair and Harley Race and Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TAs, your Road Warriors, your Steiner Brothers, your Midnight Express, guys like, oh, hell, who am I thinking of? The Funks, the Von Erichs. Without these guys in the world of pro wrestling would be nothing. These are legends.
Absolutely.
These are men who traveled the globe to hone their craft and present their talents to the world. And some of them had success. Ric Flair won 16 matches, at least 16. He says, what did he say? He wrestled. Yeah, he had to have won at least 16 matches.
Right.
No, and plus, that's how many world titles, but he's also a multiple-time U.S. champion. He's been a tag team champ. So he's won a fair bit, but he's lost a lot too, and he'll admit to that. He's not stupid because, well, he's a professional wrestler, not a sports entertainer. So at NWA 73, there was this great match between Nick Aldis, the NWA champion, who's held the belt for like 3 years now. He's held it for a long time. And he wrestled Dick Murdoch's baby boy, Trevor. Okay, and this is a guy who worked for WWE, but they didn't use him right. This is Dirty Dick Murdoch's boy. This is one of the toughest SOBs in professional wrestling. Legit tough guy. Legit fighter. Okay. He's a big old hoss from the country. Okay. So they wrestle, and Aldis passes the torch because it's time. Now, what Nick's going to do in the future, I can only speculate. If I'm Nick, I'm going to take some time off and spend it with my beautiful wife, Mickie James, and spend some time with my family. You spent all these time traveling the globe, doing the thing, working with Corrigan and the NWA. Take some time off and relax with your family. That's what I want to see him do. If he shows up someplace else, I hope it's Impact, because that's where you made your name. So I hope you can. And right now, Impact is just full of talent. A lot of talent there, and they deserve to have this type of a caliber of an athlete to come in and work with them. So we have that. But what happened was They were taping at a very famous hotel in St. Louis where 73 was held, and this is the hotel where they used to film. Basically, it's where they used to film the old television for there during the 1980s and the late 70s. But during this thing, I'm gonna open. Let's share this here. Let's bring this in. Here we go. You can see us. This is Trevor Murdoch here, folks. Over here, you see, and he's going to be talking to the announcer here. And this is going to be an interesting conversation. I want to watch this and I'm going to make some comments and I want to get Kong's thoughts about this.
Murdoch! I've got something on my mind and I want to talk to a certain individual. Nick Aldis, I know you're in the back. I want you to come out here and talk to me man to man, face to face. I've got something to say to you. First, I want to thank you for coming out here. For the last 3 months, you and I have went to war, brother. We have said things, we have done things that are out of character. We have basically did everything we could to get under each other's skin and throw each other off our game.
In other words, these two men did what pro wrestlers are supposed to do. They sold the match.
Right.
All right. By the way, someone in our Facebook has asked, stated that this is out to Kong here. It says AEW needs a performer like you, and I full well agree with that statement.
I appreciate that. I could use some AEW's money, to be honest with you.
I think everybody could use some AEW's money.
All right.
Let's go here. Here we go. That's what I wanted to do. All right. Getting used to this new platform we're working. Okay, let's go back to this interview.
When I would sit in Harley's office, he would describe to me what a champion should be. He's a man that the belt didn't make him, he made the belt. When you were world champion, you walk around this earth, you let everybody know you're the world champion. And when you step into the ring, you let everybody in the world know that you are the baddest man on the planet. I want to let you know, personally, you always checked all those boxes. If Harley Race was here today, he would look at you in the eye and say, in my best Harley Race voice, good job, kid. So with that being said, I have nothing but the utmost respect for you. You carried this with pride. You defended this to the very last inch of everything you had. When you and I went toe-to-toe at 73, I've never been in a tougher fight than I was that night. You made sure that if I did beat you, I had to earn every single inch of it.
What do you call that in the wrestling world, Steve?
We call those a promo.
Okay.
Putting your opponent over.
There you go. And that's what great professional wrestlers know how to do, correct?
Correct. You have to, you can't a lot of people, they go out there and their first thought is, I'm gonna make myself sound so much better than my opponent. But if you do that, if you start off with that, and then let's say your opponent beats you, then what does that make you? Makes you a big pile of crap. Who wants to be a pile of crap? No, you have to build that moment, build your opponent, you know what I'm saying, whether they actually meet that criteria or not. I've shared a ring with Nick Aldis. I've never met Trevor Murdoch, and you know, Nick is a top tier athlete all the way. You know, personally, I don't really care for him, but whatever, business is business, you know what I'm saying? And if he's the right man for the job, then I have no choice but to agree with that. Um, and for Trevor to go out there and let the fans know just how, good an athlete or how tough he was an opponent to beat, that says a lot. That's a lot of things. That's something that young wrestlers these days can learn and can add to their repertoire, is how to sell the product as a whole, not just, try to sell yourself. You have to sell your opponent as much as you sell yourself. That is what's going to help that company advance.
I get a little emotional, bro, but that pulls at my heartstrings. And with that, and the respect I have for you, I'm going to give you the floor and speak to the people, because you deserve that respect.
And Trevor Murdoch looks like that guy you would not want to mess with when he's in a bar having a beer or two. You just want to, unless he's your buddy, you want to steer clear of that guy. I'll tell you what, he's every bit as tough as his dad was. Every bit of it. Just an amazing, amazing athlete.
And you deserve that moment, no matter what happened at 73.
In 2007, a skinny punk kid who scraped together the 30 quid a night he was making on the holiday camps wrestling every night to come to Eldon, Missouri. He scraped together that money to come to Eldon, Missouri, because he had an opportunity to learn from Harley Race. And besides the fact that I was training with Harley Race, which was already mind-blowing to a kid like me, the other part of that always stuck out was the fact that one of the WWE Tag Team Champions took time out of their time at home, which, as we know, is pretty limited. Took some time out of his day to come to that camp and talk to those kids, pass on that wisdom, give his advice, and that was Trevor Murdoch.
And there we go again. The defeated opponent is still putting over the man who beat him, who defeated him for a title. And this is a rarity in the world of sports entertainment. In professional wrestling, these men know what they're doing. They don't have to be told. They don't have a script writer saying this. In sports entertainment, this is not how it happens. It's how it should be, but it's not.
I always remembered that. And that's why when we were at Harley's funeral, I looked you in the eye and said, "Why aren't you wrestling anymore? What the hell are you doing?" And I said, "Come to Atlanta. Please just come to Atlanta. The NWA is different. The NWA is where we celebrate wrestlers like you. The NWA is where we celebrate real men who fight like men, who treat this business with the respect that it deserves, and more importantly, treat this championship with the respect that it deserves." So if I had to lose to anybody, I'm glad that it had to be you.
You heard that, right, Steve?
Yeah,
The emotion,
yeah.
the realism,
That's the most
realism.
humble. That's the most humble I've ever heard Nick be.
Well, that's part of his persona. He's an arrogant ass. That's why I love
Yeah,
Nick Aldis.
persona, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Now, you deserve your chance to prove to the world that you are everything that Harley Race said you could be. And you deserve that opportunity to represent this company, represent this sport, represent this business, and represent every champion that came before you and I. And I'm going to give you the floor because it's time for me to step away for a while. So, if I could offer you one piece of advice, sir, it will be the hardest but most rewarding experience of your life to carry the weight of this championship. And it was the honor of my life to be the world's champion.
The emotion again.
So now, the floor is yours.
Wait.
The emotion. That belt means something to wrestlers.
Right.
That title belt, that is gold. That is the most coveted title on the planet. I don't care who a wrestler is. If you get a chance to wrestle for the NWA World Championship, you are somebody special.
Absolutely.
You are somebody special. And once again, the emotion Aldis is showing, because I think it's real. I think it's legit. This isn't scripted. This isn't I'm gonna shed a tear stuff. This is heartfelt. This means something. Being the champion and holding that title for so long and leaving his mark as the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion means something to Nick Aldis. You know, no matter what anyone, like him or not, enjoy what he does or not, Nick Aldis is a professional.
Yeah, no doubt. And
he's
I'm joking and throwing shots at Nick or whatever, but that moment I actually felt, because I understand that, what I'm saying, it's something that we work for. I've spent almost 23 years myself, and when you have those moments, you tend to appreciate them. You appreciate them more, and then you look at things like guys getting a chance to work with guys that you grew up watching and idolizing, and moments like that, and you just think, wow, like, how fortunate am I, because not everybody gets this opportunity. um my kids, Nerd and some of the other ones, give me crap all the time because uh they'll go crazy because they're sharing a locker room with Sabu or Sandman or Shane Douglas or any of the ex WWE guys, Boogeyman, or they're losing their mind, and I'm just like, oh hey, yeah, no, I know him, it's cool, what I'm saying, and they're like, we hate you, like, why are you so calm about this? I'm like, well, because I've been there and I've done that, and like, don't get me wrong, it's an awesome experience, and I'll never trade it for the world, but what I'm saying, um it's something that I don't take for granted. It's an honor, for me to even share a locker room with those guys, even if I never did get to share a ring with them.
right. And then the this is the cherry on the top of the dessert here with what happens here, folks. You see the tears in his eyes; those are real. That meant something. And yeah, that's courtesy of NWA, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Check them out on YouTube. Subscribe to their YouTube channel to keep up to date. And also go ahead over to or Fight TV and subscribe there to be able to watch Power every week, and they do other things over there too. So, doing some good things in the NWA, and it's I can't say enough about the National Wrestling Alliance. I grew up on it, so I grew up on that in the WWF back in the late 70s, the 80s, things like that. Some things are going on in the real world, and we've all had to deal with idiots and stupid stuff. And I want to come at everybody with some seriousness right at this moment. I don't know if Steve's been vaccinated or not, but we have this COVID virus that's going around here, and you know, if you want to go out and see your local promotions, and you know, there's no harm, no foul here, folks. But that vaccine is not going to kill you. And if you have a problem with getting the vaccines for the COVID virus, then you just need to stop and think about it. Because when you was little, you got measles and mumps and polio and everything, and they didn't kill us. So let's just do our part.
Tetanus, and
Mhm.
all sorts.
Yeah, so go get your vaccines, folks. And if you're coming to the live events, even though you're vaccinated, let's be safe. If you can, wear a mask, wear one of the gaiters over your face. Hell, wear a gator over your face. Piss off Kongo. He won't know who the hell you are to beat you up after the show. Just
That's
saying.
good.
Just saying. Probably going to be Nelson doing it, but just saying. Let's have some fun here tonight, folks. Got another 10, 15 minutes left here before we call it a night here.
Wait. Let me
What?
throw in my 2 cents, man.
What?
I was vaccinated. I've been vaccinated. I've been vaccinated since they were available.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I am deathly afraid of taking something home to my mom, who's not, in the best of health right now, or my dad, who's not in the best of health right now. Even though my dad works in the medical field, and he has to get tested on the regular, I don't want to be the one responsible for anything, any kind of turmoil coming their way, and then, being that I work in the public, excuse me, and around people all the time, and they want to come up and, they want to hug me and slap hands, and you know, it's the right thing to do, and I think as a fan, it well, just as a human being, sometimes you have to step outside of yourself and not be so selfish. Um, and think about, like what is that vaccine gonna do to you that COVID won't do to you for sure. You know what I mean? And there's so many people that, the ones that have survived COVID, they are, months later still dealing with after effects. So why not try to give yourself a level of protection against that? We don't know what this thing is doing. It's mutating and it's changing all
Mm-hmm.
the time and it's still killing people. Why put yourself at risk? It's crazy,
Mm-hmm.
you talk about your freedom. But what about everybody else's freedom? What about their right to not have to die at somebody else's careless hands? You know what I'm saying? Like, to
Yes,
me,
I
like,
do.
if you knowingly, put somebody in danger like that, that should almost be considered attempted murder. You know what I
I,
mean? You ever think about stuff like that?
yeah.
Like, um, I sometimes we gotta stop being so damn entitled, and we have to uh look out for other people, look out for our fellow man. People are so worried about getting sick. I tell you what happened to me. After the first one, I was drained the next day, and a couple days later I experienced what was almost like a flu, but I didn't have a fever. I just had like the body aches, and it only lasted for a few hours. And I was back up, and then I got the second shot, and I was fully prepared to have some side effects because I had it the first time and I didn't have it. Nothing happened.
What version did you get?
I got the Moderna,
That's
and I'll tell another real story. When I looked at the map of who was getting which vaccine, I noticed that all the big cities were getting the Pfizer vaccine, and then all the surrounding communities were getting the Moderna. So a buddy of mine who is also black, has some legit concerns. And I don't want to ruffle any feathers by saying this, but he said he doesn't trust white doctors. And so I told him what I did. I said, listen, I said I looked at the map and I saw who was getting what, right? And so I know that there aren't very many, black people, not very many people that look like me out in these outer communities. Plus, the lines were a lot shorter in the outer communities, so I went out there. So if they're poisoning anybody, and what I'm saying, if they're poisoning us, then they're going to be poisoning them too. So do what you got to do. Think about how you or feel how you feel about it, but get it done.
Exactly.
Why not? Why not? It's not
Exactly.
going to hurt you. I promise. You'll
Yep.
be all right.
Yeah, I got the Moderna, and the first one they say it's within 15 minutes you'll have side effects and stuff. What I got was after I got home, I got a little dizzy. I felt a little dizzy from it. So that was that. And basically, I just took it easy the rest of the day. That's all.
Yeah.
Just took it easy. Now, the second one, I ended up getting some muscle soreness that lasted for a few days, but it was nothing that was going to stop me from living, that's going to scare me, because you get a
Right.
tetanus shot, you get the same type of muscle soreness. That's
Exactly.
because you have a foreign substance entering your body, and your body's that's what vaccines do. You get the vaccine, and your immune system says, "Hey, this don't belong here. Let's go attack this," and you build up antibodies that are now targeted for that particular virus or bacteria in your body. So
And you didn't die.
no, I did not die, much to the chagrin of one Nick Anthony. Yeah, I was hoping Nick would get the wrong shot. I still, I yeah. Yeah, hashtag I hate Nick Anthony, folks, all over social media. You can find him on, I believe it's Twitter. It's I hate NIC Anthony, Nick Anthony, on Twitter, I believe. Go over there and insult him. He loves it. He loves for people to tell him how stupid he really is, because I do every day of my life. And it's one of the simple pleasures that make life worth living. I love you, Nick. Folks, we're going to do something here. I got some wrestlers' names in front of me, and they're either now look, basically they may have worked multiple decades, but what I'm looking for is, when did they really start to make a name for themselves? What decade? Was it the 1960s? Was it the 1970s? Or was it the 1980s?
That's an easy game. I was worried it's going to be something that can give me some heat.
Oh, you think? Oh, no, I would never put heat on nobody, especially you, because you would just pick me up and slam me down and probably break me. If no vaccine killed me, it was Kong killed the reporter.
You do only live an hour away now, so there's that.
Yeah, you're in, where are you at? You're in Indiana, aren't you?
Fort Wayne, yep.
Yeah, you're not too far from me now. I moved to the western side of I'm like directly west of where I used to live, and about the same distance from the next state. So it's kind of odd, but I live in a small country town. There's 498 people that live in this town. Okay. It's quiet. I love where I live. I don't wake up every day worrying about if I'm going to go to the gas station and something's going to happen to me, or if something horrible, if my car is going to get stolen, whatever. In the city I lived in Akron, Ohio, it's things are not what they were when I was a young man. So, but I love where I live at now. It's just so good. So I'm going to give Steve names, and if he gets it right, I was going to make some little annoying sounds, the little X's and check marks and stuff, but what the hell? It don't have to be all fancy, does it? We're talking here. All right, so let's start off with the name of a man by the name of Greg Gagne. 60s, 70s, or 80s?
I would say 70s.
You are absolutely correct with that one. That's when he started making his name. I got a man by the name of Fred Blassie.
That would have to be 70s too.
Oh, Fred Blassie made his name in the 1960s. That's when in the 70s, he was toward the end of his career and becoming a manager then.
Okay. Well,
through
I
the
didn't come
70s.
around till 79 anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, when I saw Blassie, he was already old.
Yeah, we have a man by the name of Bam Bam Bigelow.
That's the 80s.
That is the 80s, most definitely.
One of my favorites.
What about a gentleman by the name of Little Beaver?
Was he a midget?
Little Beaver was a midget. Yes, he
I would
was.
say 80s.
Little Beaver started making his name for himself in the 1960s.
Mother Fluffer.
He was actually considered to be the top midget wrestler for
Okay.
quite a long time in the 60s. Let's look over at a guy by the name of Kamala, the Ugandan giant.
Yeah, I would say probably 80s.
It was the 1980s when he started making his name. Started down there with Jim Cornette, Smoky Mountain, down in there, that area. Yeah, Jarrett, working for Jarrett's and everyone else. Kamala, yeah, that's when they had him out in someone's backyard, taping him like he was in the jungle and all that stuff back in the day with his handler Kim Chi, which is, I think, is a more racist thing than Kamala was. Although Kamala was a pretty racist gimmick.
Yes.
What about a guy by the name of Antonio Rocca?
70s?
1960s.
Man,
19.
I guess I got to study some more 60s wrestling, huh?
Yeah. How about a guy by the name of Jack Briscoe?
That would be 70s.
That was the 70s. And of course, who could ever forget beautiful Bobby Eaton?
I remember Bobby from the 80s.
And I would say that's when he started making his mark in the world of pro wrestling, was when Jim
Hot tag
Cornette.
wrestling, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Now, there is a wild card here, and I might throw that in. I'm not sure yet. What about a guy by the name of, or a woman by the name of Miss June Byers?
I've never heard of June Byers, so I'm going to go ahead and say 1960s.
She was the 60s. You've never heard of the NWA, World's Women's Champion, June Byers?
No.
She held the belt long, and Moolah defeated her for the title.
Oh, okay.
She was the one who held the belt long before Moolah did. So, well, this is interesting. I thought you would, go right through all this. What about a guy by the name of Nick Bockwinkel?
Nick Bockwinkel, 70s.
Okay. Let's hit a guy by the name of, how about Tommy Wildfire Rich?
I knew of him in the 80s. I don't.
The 80s is,
yeah.
I think he worked the late 70s. Yeah. Him and Flair traded the NWA title on one occasion. He is he did have the auspicious thing of being an NWA World Heavyweight Champion, so that's an important thing. Pepper Gomez. He's a legend. I know you know the name.
Pepper Gomez. I've heard of it, but I've never watched him wrestle. Let's go 70s.
1960s for Pepper Gomez.
Man.
Yeah.
Today.
Let's see. Oh, this one you gotta get. I'm just you have to have this one. Ric Flair.
80s.
All right. Way to go. Could have been 70s. Remember, they had the airplane wreck in 79.
Right. Who was the punk that you were leaving out earlier?
Pardon me?
Who's the punk that you said you were leaving out earlier?
The Punk?
Yeah, you like, that guy's a punk. I'm leaving him out.
Oh, that would have been. I actually didn't leave him out, actually. I'll go ahead and give you him now. Buddy Rogers.
Oh, okay. That was 60s.
That was the 60s, yes. Okay. And let's see. Pat Patterson.
I would say 70s.
That would be the 70s, because remember, he was the first U.S. champion.
Yeah.
He won the title at a fake tournament in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Yeah, first U.S. or Intercontinental?
I see. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I see. Gentleman by the name of Gorilla Monsoon.
I I would say 70s.
70s is when he started, you know. And he worked in the 60s and 70s both, but the
Okay.
70s is when he became
Started to
that
pick up
guy
steam,
that we
yeah.
think of. Bobby, the Brain, Heenan. And remember, the brain is very important in my statement.
So then I would say the 80s because to me that was like his best work was while he was as manager.
The 70s and 80s, late 70s with the AWA, and then he went with Vince in the 80s and just became Bobby, the legend that we know Bobby is.
Absolutely.
Johnny Valentine.
Johnny Valentine?
Johnny Valentine.
I would go 60s because Greg came along in the 70s and started making a name for himself.
Well, Johnny and Greg are...
Not related? Are you serious?
I don't know. I'll have to look into that one. That might be a conversation, topic of conversation. From what I was reading, the 70s is when he was winning titles. So I attributed him to the 1970s.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Bruno Sammartino.
That was the 70s.
That was the 70s?
Well,
Or
yeah,
was
that was his longest. That was
60s?
that was his longest reign, wasn't it? During the 70s.
Well, he was the champion for most of like the late 60s.
Was he? Huh.
I do believe so. I believe Bruno was champion WWF.
Who beat him for the title?
Who beat Bruno?
Yeah,
The Iron
was
Sheik.
The Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik was the champion in the 80s. Then.
Who beat Bruno? Bruno was beat by...
Unless it was Bob Backlund.
No, Backlund was... God. Who even knows about Bob Backlund these days? Most people don't even know who Bob Backlund... They don't even think about it.
Which is crazy because one of the best matches I've ever seen was Bob Backlund versus Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was wearing white trunks, and Hulk Hogan would put Bob Backlund in the short arm scissors. And
oh my God.
Eventually, Bob Backlund rolled through and picked 320-pound Hulk Hogan up on his shoulders, and then proceeded to sit him on the top turnbuckle. Once he got out of the hold, he patted Hulk Hogan on the head and backed off.
Wow, bro. Yeah, this would have cost a lot of heat. The person who defeated Bruno Sammartino for the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Championship was a man by the name of Ivan Koloff.
Wow. What year was that?
That was in let me look at this. Is CBS Sports is what I'm getting my news from. They're talking about Koloff passing away back in 17 when he passed. January 18th, 1971.
Okay.
So Bruno made his name in the 60s.
60s, right.
Yep.
Okay.
That's amazing, man. Let's see. So Bruno, did I give you Harley? Did I say Harley Race?
You did not.
So when was that one?
I'm gonna go with 70s because
that is correct.
Well known when I started watching him in the 80s when he was King Harley Race.
Okay. One name's gonna this name just makes me want to vomit through my throat right now. And I have to say it. I have to say it. Hulk Hogan.
80s.
Well, I have a problem with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do these days, and that's fine. That's completely
understandable. Well, I always did. Ric Flair came out and told us what he was. I'm a womanizer. Yeah. I'm going to spend all my money on booze and partying and all this stuff. And that's what he did.
Right.
Hulk Hogan spent all his money on booze and parties and womanizing. And yet, he had this training and prayer and vitamins. And those vitamins were called steroids, late boys and girls.
He was an actor, man, on a TV show.
Unlike
Sports
unlike Ric Flair, who
entertainment.
was a professional wrestler, an athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's how it comes out. You've managed to get 4 of 7 correct from the 1960s. You need to brush up on your 60s wrestling. I'm telling you, there's some great matches. Go on archive.org, dude, and look it up. There are some great shows from Capital City Wrestling. There's a lot of stuff.
You said
A lot
archive
of
wrestling?
stuff. Shockey from the group says it was Ivan Koloff beat him for the first title, and Billy Graham beat Bruno for the second time. The second time he got beat for the belt. So that's pretty cool. And Billy Graham is a man who deserves a lot of respect. In the 70s, you're actually doing pretty good. 6 out of 7.
Nice.
And then you clean swoop the 80s.
Good. Well, I'm
So
an
you
80s baby, so
I was going to say you must have been an 80s kid. You were there for the comic book boom, as I like to refer to it, back when pro wrestling was more comic book. On Saturday mornings, it was like you woke up and you watched Superstars or
that was my favorite
All
stuff.
Stars or whatever WWF programming was on in your area at the time. I lived in Northeast Ohio, so we were fortunate. There was a show on at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 on Saturdays. And then on Sundays, we had like a 11 o'clock, and then whatever came on the USA Network Monday night or Tuesday night. Remember Tuesday Night Titans?
Yep.
That was one of my favorites. That's what I love about pro wrestling. That was an era where guys did things that were not in the ring. They came out. They look. TNT was a badass program, and then you had Bobby Heenan and Gorilla there doing their commentary on matches, and they're back and forth. Bobby Heenan could have been a great comic actor if he would have got the opportunity. He was just a brilliant comic mind, and most people don't get that. He is such a quick-witted human. I can't help it. It's hard for me sometimes to realize that men like Bobby are gone and Gene are gone from us now. And
hey, man, he left his mark. He made his place, and in my opinion, he'll always be here with us. So
no, that's why I have
there's nothing wrong with that.
That's why Nick gave me the nickname the Boobs.
Yep.
I tell people when they ask me, I'm Bobby Heenan's illegitimate stepnephew. So I can't tell you how much Bobby Heenan meant to me as a young man, listening to his commentary and laughing at him, hating him. You know, I'm not the guy that I'm the guy that is like, I'm the Ric Flair fan. And I shocked Nick because, and I want your opinion on this before I let you go tonight. I know we're running a little long in the tooth here, folks, but I'm gonna let Kongo. I know he's got things to do, and I got to get some sleep because I got to be up tomorrow anyway. But where was my brain at?
Something you're gonna let me in on?
What was I going to ask you? What was I going to talk to you about real quick? Oh my!
Started with Bobby Heenan.
Oh yeah. I said something to Nick Anthony, which I used to consider Ric Flair the greatest of all time. Okay, we're speaking of greats here, the greatest of all time. And something happened at an AEW event that made me realize who the true greatest of all time is.
Okay.
There was a stipulation in a match with Jericho and MJF where Jericho couldn't use anything that had to do with Judas. No Judas effect, elbow, no theme, no nothing. The video package hits, no music. And as soon as it does, the crowd starts singing Judas. Okay, in unison, however many people, at least 10,000 people are singing Judas. And Jericho walks to the ring with that. And it was at that moment that I thought, what other wrestler in the world has ever had that kind of a response out of an audience before? Can you think of one guy?
I can't, but who has had that sort of stipulation to where, you know what I'm saying, that could even happen? So I love Jericho. Jericho is awesome and definitely, deserves top billing, in any era. But to even compare him to Ric Flair to me, would be foulest.
No, I'm not saying that. I would never compare him to the Nature Boy. Two different entities,
Right.
and two different eras in professional wrestlers. I don't know if you
That's
understand what
true.
I mean.
That's
Two
true.
different kinds
Yeah.
of wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jericho, where Flair helped to build the platform that Jericho stood on,
Mm-hmm.
Jericho helped to take that platform and
To the
take it
next level.
levels above where it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Okay. So when you
Jericho's
talk about
partly responsible for why wrestling moves so fast today.
Mhm, mhm. And everything he's been he's he's a chameleon. Flair has always been Ric Flair. Same guy all the time. We've
Mhm.
never gotten a variation. Well, we get little variations on Flair. Heel, face, guy that could never turn into a heel ever again. It's okay to boo him because we love to boo you and we love to cheer you. You're the Nature Boy. You are the greatest professional wrestler to ever have laced up the boots in
Right.
just about everybody in the business's eyes. People want to be you. Look at MJF. Does he not want to? He's got the mic skills of Hot Rod Roddy Piper.
Mhm.
He's got in-ring ability at his young age. He's not even 20. He's not even 25 yet.
Right.
And he can. I would love to see him have someone like Ric Flair in his corner because I think MJF is that damn good. He puts the heat on the crowd and doesn't care. He like men like Flair, Anderson, all the great heels will tell you that you booing them means just as much as you cheering them because that means they're doing their job right.
Yes.
When Steve walks out to the ring in a crowd and he's the guy that you got to boo for, he don't mind it. It's like the more boos, the better because I'm doing my job. I'm making you hate me. I know people out there hate me, but I don't care because you really don't know anything. And I've told you that many times. That is why I made it my mission in life to educate you as to what professional wrestling really is. WWE has killed off the only brand of wrestling they had. They did that. NXT. This is like NXT 4.0, 3.0, something else. This is not 2.0, folks. This is going to not be good. But I have to watch so that I know what's going on because we all know that Nick Anthony don't care. What's he come on and talk to you about, huh? Huh? Where's his thoughts? I will tell you this. The reason Nick was not on today, and Nick does go on during the day, he comes home from Nick has a job and he does his job and then he comes home and he gives you guys 30 minutes to an hour of his time before he winds down for his day with his thoughts and opinions right here. Pro Wrestling 247 on Facebook. Pro Wrestling, spell all the words out 24/7 over on YouTube. Go over, like, subscribe, and hit that notify button so you know when we go live because more things are going to be happening here. I am here on Wednesdays, usually around 1 in the morning. Made an exception for my guest tonight. So Steve is here with me. And I'm also going to be here on Sunday nights to give you what I think is going on in the world of professional wrestling and do a little bit of speculating like I did last Sunday night when I talked about how WWE might be able to improve their fortunes by resurrecting WCW. And if you tune in Sunday night, I'm going to give you more of my speculation. How can we do this? I'm going to book this for you. I'm going to show you that it can be done. It can be done in a logical manner. And unlike Hollywood people, unlike the people in power at WWE right now, I know a little about wrestling because I've been watching it for years. You don't have to be a professional wrestler to understand how it works, to have a grasp of how you build an angle, how you go from point A to point B to point Z and end up with something that's going to put asses in seats, money in your pocket, and give men like Steve Wilson, and at the same time, guys like Nelson Edwin Robert Doolittle the fifth.
Yeah.
Jobs.
And giving fans an alternative to just seeing, meatheads going out there and dancing with each other, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, because there ain't nothing meaty about Nelson at all. Folks, I want to thank everyone who's been in the chat with me tonight. We've got Shockey, who is founder of the group. My partner in crime, Nick Anthony's over there. He's probably at work watching on his cell phone, gonna tear me a new butthole tomorrow for not asking questions or doing something. Who knows what he's up to right now?
You already asked all the questions of me. You don't need to know anything else about me.
No, that's true. Yeah, but you see, Nick is
like
not
the third or fourth go round with you. So yeah.
Yeah, we love talking with Steve, and I'm gonna invite him back because I want to set up a game show some night with you and Nelson. We're gonna see who is the king of the ring, and we'll find out whose wrestling knowledge surpasses the other. And by that, I'm not just gonna ask names. I'm gonna ask matches, venues, date.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna go in. We'll do some wrestling trivia here and have a good time. We'll set that up. Hopefully we could do that. That would be a great Halloween show. Have you in full Kong makeup? That would be kind of cool. We'll have Nelson in makeup too, but unlike Kong, his probably will be covering up the bruises he's received from Kong. So anyway, folks, you know what it is. You know where we're at. I'm Harry. HB3, Harry the Boobs Bob, whatever you want to call me, just don't call me. Just don't call me. Don't call me at all. I don't want to hear from you. Who the hell do you think you are to bother me? Right?
Just leave Brittany alone.
Yes, leave me alone. Hey, and go get vaccinated, people. Don't go out there in those crowds without being vaccinated. And if you ain't vaccinated, you better damn well be wearing a mask, because if you got something, you could possibly give it to someone else. And how would you feel?
Nothing. I ain't got nothing. How would you know? You
That's
gotta get
exactly
tested
right.
first, cool.
Better to be safe than sorry. And even if you are vaccinated, wear the mask just to be safe.
Yep.
Because we want to protect the performers. Most of all, those men and women in that crowd with you, they don't need to go home and find out Monday morning that they have to be quarantined because some idiot decided that they know more than a doctor. Harry the Boobs Bob, Pro Wrestling 247. This is After Dark. I will see you Sunday night. Peace. Thank you for being with me, Steve.
Thanks for having me.